are piñatas, and there's a company in Mexico that makes these piñatas of all kinds of political leaders, and you can order the ones that you want to have at your piñata party. Look up President Peña Nieto piñata, and there's like a 3-minute clip of somebody's party when they're breaking the Peña Nieto piñata. Okay, so you can see that what starts off as posadas moves on, gets to the piñata, and the piñata then becomes an expression of political and social views. Of course, there are piñatas of, gosh, I don't know, Tío Sam. It's like a major piñata if you're in a bad mood about the U.S. government, get yourself a piñata and pound on it for a while and see. I'm going to back up now. Now, yeah. So another form of Mexican humor is Mexican humor not only about people coming to the city and being confused by different holidays and how they operate, but also immigrants coming to Mexico. And around 1900, there was an influx, 1880 to be precise, there was an influx of Chinese into Mexico. The reason for the influx of Chinese into Mexico in the 1880s is California had passed an exclusion law against Asians, particularly the Chinese, from coming into California. And then that was expanded by the US government to an anti-Oriental exclusion law. What did Mexicans do? Nothing. It wasn't important to them. But they did open their arms to the Chinese who came to Mexico to cross over to the United States. And so there was a large number of Chinese in the northern provinces, the northern states of Mexico, who then crossed to Tucson, crossed to LA, crossed to all of these different places, and came to the US by way of Mexico. It was fine with them. But they told Chinese jokes. And these Chinese jokes have to do with mangled Spanish, and they have to do with confusion of who's who. And the most famous example is the zarzuela. The zarzuela is like a musical comedy, short, light comedy. In the zarzuela called Chin Chun Chang. And this is a story of mixed identity and confusion. The owner of this big hotel thinks that he has a Mandarin Chinese who's going to spend a lot of money coming to stay. Some regular working class Chinese guy walks into the hotel. The owner thinks it's the Mandarin. That's when all mayhem breaks out. There's all kinds of confusion. I recommend this to you. It's on YouTube. You can watch it or you can read it. It's a great account. If you click on the right one, there's a version of Chin Chun Chan that was performed at the University of Arizona. And someone you know played the hotel owner in that version. Also, it's interesting because telephone operators are in there, and one of the songs is by women telephone operators who were a new thing in Mexico in 1906, is I think when it premiered. It's the most performed zarzuela in the history of Mexico. Well, and what do we have here? A calavera, the Grand Calavera, by Posada of Chin Chin Chan. This was widely circulated, and it was used on different sheets of the libretto so that people could see what Chin Chin Chan was supposed to look like. How do we know that this is Chin Chin Chan? Pigtail, of course, right?
The hair.
Yeah, that's what we see. Okay. I'm really going to keep my eye on the time. Yes. Okay. Now, another form in which Mexicans exercised their humor through performances was through puppets, through puppet performances. And there were puppets groups in Mexico throughout the 19th century. The most famous of these Mexican puppet groups was the Rosete Aranda family from Tlaxcala, and that their hometown is where Mexico's National Puppet Museum is. If you go to Puebla, it's like an hour to go up there and take a look at these. So these puppets were so famous that they appeared in Posada's cartoons. I can look at this and see 4 of Mexico's most famous puppets right there in this calavera. See the guy with the glasses, the long nose, the hat? That's Don Folias. Don Folias. Don Folias believed he was God's gift to women. And so he's always mixed up trying to seduce some woman or another in these plays. And of course, he fails all the time. Right next to him is his wife, who is always giving him lectures on being a fool. Folias, by the way, comes from, some of you may know the music, Folias, variations of Folian music. This is guitar variations, and it refers to kind of going crazy. It's Portuguese craziness in guitars. Okay, so those 2. Then look over there. The guy with the stick. El Negrito. El Negrito is the constant guy that Don Folias always has struggles with and can't ever best El Negrito. And that's El Negrito's girlfriend. And Don Folias, in a number of the plays, is trying to seduce Juana, the girlfriend, without success. Now, whenever the play comes to an end, one of these plays, Don Folias will be defeated. El Negrito will win. He'll get so pleased with himself that he'll start dancing up and down. You can see he's dancing up and down there. He'll do this little El Negrito dance that everybody loves. So what happens is people go to see one of these puppet shows. They want it to move along. I'm risking telling you this. You may want this talk to go along. But when they want it to go along, people in the audience will start. Which means, let's get it on here. Let's get El Negrito dancing. Let's get this thing over with. It's time to have a beer. And so audiences knew this, and I don't know if that's a rhythm or not. This is like one of my secret goals in life, is to learn the El Negrito rhythm and be able to tell people about it and dance it myself. But, great. Look at this. See this guy? This guy's Vale Coyote. Vale Coyote is a famous Mexican puppet. Vale Coyote, Vale is like Che in Argentina. It means God. It's like a God, right? Is one way of translating it. Vale is like vale coyote. And then coyote is a racial term for the child of a black person and an Indian. It's called a coyote in the various accounts. Well, vale coyote had trouble with English, or Spanish, had trouble with Spanish and speaking it, but every time there was a Day of Independence celebration, Vale Coyote would give the presentation of the Independence Day speech.